So, for this episode of Collective Conversations, I have got the fantastic Eloise Burton, who has her beautiful logo in view here. Um, who, so yeah, I'm just going to dive straight in and ask you to introduce yourself, Eloise.
Yeah, so I'm Eloise Burton. I'm the Money Alchemist, and I help mostly women, but also some men, to really work through their money stuff and open up to having even more without all the stress and worry.
Amazing, amazing. It's brilliant to have you here. And
Thank you.
yay, it's brilliant to have you here. Just before we came on, I was talking about what this collective conversations is about, which it's really about awareness, about having important conversations in life that move the needle for us, that raise the collective consciousness of our planet and help us do things differently, actually. Um, and grow in the areas that we want to grow within our parenting lives, within our business lives, and, you know, money, abundance, and being open to receiving is a big part of our lives, you know.
Yeah.
So it's so important. And we're here with Eloise because I'm part of her academy, and I have read her amazing book, which is here, The Magic of Money Alchemy, and because I was doing some work inside of Eloise's space, where I was developing a deeper connection with money, and through that guidance, well, I'll talk a bit more about that. Through that guidance, I've created the Money Flow Activator, and I'm talking about money and this, yeah, because I think it's really important for people to get a sense of that we can have a different relationship, a supportive relationship, a loving relationship with money,
Mm.
and it's different. Like what's dropped in for me recently through doing this meditation with you guided me through this process, um, is it feels like a fundamental shift in how I feel and view money. And so, what I've created is out of this desire from me and from money, actually, this collaboration with the energy and the essence of money, receiving, abundance, goddess, God, whatever you want to call it, to that this is an important message that people need to know, and an
Yeah.
important shift that everyone can have.
Mm. I love that. I love that. And you're right about the conversation is what's the most important thing. When we don't talk about money much as, as adults, but when we do, oftentimes it's quite negative.
Mm,
And from my work, that's the shift that I want moved for people. I want them to be able to have loving, courageous conversations about money that don't shrivel you up with like
mm,
fear and anger. I think it's
yeah.
a massive, massive distinction, and it changes how you feel, doesn't it?
Mm, it totally does. So, for those who are listening who might be thinking, not really sure what they're talking about when they're talking about these negative conversations about money, like I think mostly we're not aware that
No,
we're
no,
even
not at all.
having these negative
Mm,
conversations, that
mm,
we're thinking in these particular ways in terms of, because a lot of this was handed down to us,
mm,
was from our parents or society, the money doesn't grow on trees, or don't be greedy, or these kind of things that we've got to work hard for it, you know
mm,
in in my celebration call for the Money Flow Activator last night, somebody was sharing how how sneaky this language and the
Yeah.
conversation is. Like she was
Yeah.
saying to one of her clients, "Thank you for your hard work." You know,
Mm.
even in a phrase like that, we are um, giving power to. It's good. It's desirable. We should be working hard. Hard work is the way to
Mm.
do things, the way to achieve anything, and
Mm.
it's pervasive in our language, isn't it?
It is, and it takes away one of the core fundamentals that I truly believe we're meant to carry through our lives, and that is this feeling of being worthy.
Mm,
Now, we are worthy, full stop. That doesn't change, but we have changed the narrative and we've linked it to behavior, to productivity, to, even the thoughts we think. I went through a phase of thinking I was a bad person because I had some dark thoughts sometimes. You
hmm.
know, we really judge ourselves, and actually, we are worthy simply for just existing.
Yeah.
We
We
don't
haven't got
have
to
to
earn
earn that.
it.
No,
Exactly.
we
We haven't
just
got to earn
are.
it.
Yeah, we
Hmm.
just are. But, you know, like I said, we really do hang all these things and think that that's a measure of our worth. And that's where I think the way that I approach money work is very different, in that it is actually about how you communicate with yourself and how you feel in yourself.
Hmm.
And then you see everything gets a little bit easier, including money, which
Hmm.
which is like proof of your inner world almost. But it's
Yeah.
not about having to do anything to prove that. It's just about believing in yourself just as
Hmm.
you are.
Yeah.
That's kind of the work, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm.
Absolutely. Yeah, it really is. And I know you've got lots and lots of tools in your toolkit in how you do that.
Mm.
Um, and I came to the work that you do through your sharing of some of these money foundations that I know you
Mm.
guide people through, which are
Yeah.
inside your book, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I came to that. Um, and yeah, I think one of this big shift that I'm really excited about, that I feel passionate that to help that, because it's not just a change intellectually in the language, um, and obviously we can monitor our self-talk and think about those things, and that does help, um, but I think having experiences that anchor us into a kind of new perspective or a shift, which I think meditation and visualization can kind of give us,
Mm.
um, brings for me a visceral experience that
Yeah.
then you can revisit and anchor onto to
Yeah.
amplify that new way of being.
Yeah, and you're right, it is visceral. Because it's not anything we've ever heard before. And
Hmm.
what I've realized over the course of my work is that actually our situation with money is in our nervous system rather
Mm.
than in our mind. When I started many years ago, I thought it was all about mindset, money mindset.
Aha.
It's not, it's about how it's coded into our nervous system. And so
Yeah.
tools like visualization,
Hmm.
meditation, tapping, hypnotherapy, that just helps to recode the nervous system.
Hmm.
And I think one thing that all of my clients talk about is that feeling of discomfort initially as it's like turbulence on a plane. It's like, oh, this is new, I don't like this. And then all of a sudden, calm,
Mm.
calm. And that's when the money's coming, and also when the money sometimes isn't, because money is always going to peak and trough. That's just life, right?
Mm.
But that ability to hold calmness makes us able to think differently.
Hmm.
It's a very powerful, it is visceral, and it changes you inside, doesn't it?
It does. It really does. And, it kind of reminds me of, and I've been talking about this for a while, the energy comes first, the feeling comes first,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
the evidence of the thing presents itself in the world. And
Yeah.
physical money, so funny. I was doing. I'm just picking up this money. I found this money, which
Yeah.
is like Central Bank of Egypt. It's a £1
Oh,
Egyptian
yeah.
pound,
Yeah.
which I didn't even know I had. That was in my singing bowl. So
Ah,
I did a thing. I was about to record something on money. I thought I'll use my singing bowl, and there was money in my
money
singing
in it.
bowl that I didn't even know
Yeah.
was there.
Yeah.
And you find money in all kinds of places, actually, don't you?
You really do. I remember I went to a friend's wedding in Cornwall and I knew there was no cash in my purse. I knew there
Mhm.
was no cash. I looked. Um, and when we left the hotel, we came up to the Tamar Bridge and my husband was panicking because it said cash. And he was like, "We haven't got any cash. What are we going to do?" I was like, "It's fine. We'll figure it out." And I picked up my purse, opened the purse, and there was £2 in there which was just the amount we needed for the toll. But I knew that previously I had checked and there was no money in there. And you know what? There are so many things that we sort of ignore by saying, "Oh, it's just a coincidence."
Mhm.
But and you will have experienced this as well, Sarah, since doing this work. There are so many coincidences that mathematically they can't be coincidences.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's, we really get what we focus on. And so if we're focusing on fear and scarcity, which is how we're brought up,
Mhm.
that's what we attract. If
Mhm.
we start focusing on abundance and plentifulness and gratitude and love,
Mhm.
we attract more of that. And
Mhm.
it feels like magic.
It absolutely does, which is why I was just thinking about the title of your book here, The
Yeah,
Magic
magic.
of Money Alchemy,
Yeah,
because it does feel like magic, doesn't it?
yeah,
Um, and the way like money just drops into your bank account, which
yeah.
I've just been doing this Money Flow Activator to help others get into like start learning some of these principles who are in my world, but also to help me continue working with
Mm,
these principles, because I don't know about you, but I tend to for years I've shared the things that I am learning myself. I'm
yeah.
working with myself because I'm pretty neurospicy, and this kind of body doubling element, this doing it with other people, doing it as a collective, it amplifies the energy as well.
It really does. It really, really does. And I changed my whole model so that I could do it with my group rather than just I started out doing everything pre-recorded and
Mm-hmm.
I felt a bit flat. And then when I changed it so I was doing it with everyone,
Mm-hmm.
it went next level again. It was just
Mm-hmm.
you're right, like collective energy is massive. It
Yeah.
is massive. Yeah.
So yeah, that collective is important. Um, so the thing that really sparked me to focus on this was I was doing some money work with another coach actually. She was doing this thing called Big Money, Big Impact. And so I was doing that. And yeah, had a bit of resistance, but I was kind of doing the things, and that got me going. And then, which guided me back to looking at some of the stuff I'd done with you.
Mm.
And I did this beautiful visualization where I met money, and I was like, whoa, and that has shifted everything.
Yeah.
So what kind of came for me with that was that um, I experienced money as divine,
Mm. Mm.
as a spiritual energy, actually,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and like, and it was so real and so visceral and so beautiful and loving, and yeah, and such relief,
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
and such a relief,
Mm.
and all these old stories that, yeah, the lack of truth of those was evident to see
And
when
yet you've
I
been living by them all your life.
exactly
Yeah,
exactly
yeah.
been living by those all my life. And so I shared that with a one-to-one client I was working with, and they had a similar experience, and I was like,
Mm,
wow.
mm,
So um so I have been, as part of my, so I do a daily practice, and I suppose I connect
mm.
with money and higher power, and um that kind of divine aspect, that divine energy every day, and I'm guided by that. And
Mm.
so in that guidance, I was guided to create this money flow activator, and I was like, okay, it should
I
I
love
be
that.
doing that, because
Yeah.
I'm not an expert on money. um this isn't the main thing that I do,
Mm.
but it is an important aspect, as it is an important conversation, and I can bring life and breath to
Yeah.
that conversation in the ways that I can.
Yeah. And that was,
Mm.
one of the reasons that, my brand is Money Alchemy,
Mm.
because alchemy isn't perfect. It's experimental, it's curiosity, it's learning and developing yourself as you go. And that whole, like, there's no need to know all the answers and be perfect. That was
Mhm.
so important.
Mm.
And that, like I say, alchemy is the precursor to chemistry,
Mhm.
and it is all about transforming one thing into another.
Yeah.
But no alchemist ever got it right all the time. It's the curiosity to
Mhm.
opening up your mind to something different,
Mhm.
to playing, to, taking chances and seeing what happens,
Mm.
and letting go of that perfectionism as well. So when you say, oh, should it be me doing it? Like, absolutely, because that is part of the alchemical process,
Yeah.
the experimentation and the
Yeah.
curiosity. And look what you created.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I absolutely love that. I'm going to give you some love. I love
Love
that.
hearts.
I love hearts. I love that. Yeah. And so I know there'll be lots of people listening to this who have a thing. Because this is the thing, when you start tapping into that inner guidance or that
Mm,
divine guidance, it'll tell you to do things that don't seem to make much sense, or seem a bit weird, or seem like,
yeah,
oh, or can I really do that? Because when we're working with money as well, we're working with our desires, we're
yeah,
working with our dreams and our desires, and our innate kind of purpose, and
mm, mm,
tapping into what we're here
mm,
to bring to the world. Um, that's all part of it. And I think the the old stories can stop people even engaging. I had somebody who had messaged me. I asked them, "Do you want to come and join this Money Flow Activator and go through this process?" And they were like, "Oh, well, I'm not into focusing on money and commodification and all of that stuff." And I'm like,
mm.
that's the whole point.
Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
whole point of
Yeah,
this. This
yeah.
is about getting connected with what it truly is,
Mm.
rather than, because that is so limited how we see it,
And it's
most of
interesting
the
you
time.
you mentioned desires there. We're working with desires. When I
Mm-hmm.
work one-to-one with clients, we work a lot on desire.
Mm.
And what's really interesting is the language that comes up when you talk about desire. Now, I had a client that said, well, I'd like to have a six-figure year. And then she followed that. She said, but I don't want to go any bigger than that. I don't want to be a millionaire or anything. And I was like, okay, but why not? And she was like, well, I don't want to be greedy. So we even limit our actual desires because of
Mm-hmm.
what society has imprinted on us.
Yeah.
You can't be greedy. And yet we're talking about desire. This is again realms of playfulness
Mm-hmm.
and curiosity, but we limit ourselves even in that. And so I urge everyone to just, pay attention to how you limit yourself even in desire, because
Mm-hmm.
that's an indicator of some money stuff. that
Yes.
you would really benefit from letting go of.
Yeah. Yeah. And seeing and working with and moving through that. Because until
Mm.
we know that it's getting in the way and it's limiting
Mm.
us,
Mm.
it just runs the show secretly, like
Yeah,
um yeah, like a program running in the background that we don't
yeah,
even know is kind of running our operating system, right?
yeah, exactly. And maybe my client will not get to 1 million, and that's okay. But why, as a desire, stop yourself
Mm.
going further? And but the reason underneath it was judgment of
Yes.
self,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then how other people would view her.
Exactly, that fear of
Yeah,
judgment from others,
yeah,
you
yeah. Which
know.
is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. And I totally get that,
Mm.
I totally get that. Um, yeah, yeah, I totally get that. It's an interesting one when you're, yeah, when you have, I suppose, big impact, there's a lot of fear, I think, that can come
Mm.
up
Mm.
as to what that means, or,
Mm.
if you're receiving a lot of money, there's a responsibility of what are you going to do with that? How are
Mm.
you going to um, use that to benefit
Mm.
yourself and benefit the world?
And
Um,
sometimes guilt comes up as well, guilt
yeah,
and shame about having more than enough, having an
yes,
abundance. So
yeah,
we sit here saying we want an abundance of money, but we're
mm-hmm.
running that program in the background that says, actually, I'd feel guilty if I had too much or
Mm,
more than I
mm,
needed.
mm.
It's a messy unpicking.
Yes, yes. So, what do you feel people can do? Like, what advice do you usually give to people when when they know they want to have a different experience of money? They know there's some limitations there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say, obviously, I'm going to say it's buy my book
Yes.
because that literally lays out all of the things.
Hmm.
It's also very short chapters, so no one has to worry about that.
Hmm.
And each chapter has a takeaway. But there's my 5 money magic foundations, which
Hmm.
do
Hmm.
those, do a couple every day
Hmm.
and see what happens, see what
Hmm.
changes for you,
Yeah.
because the changes happen fast.
Hmm. That's it. It's interesting, isn't it? When you start doing those things, when you start putting money foundations in place,
Mm.
yeah, you start to notice the changes.
Yeah.
Um, I I had one where I'd put a desire. Um, I had a check that I was like an imaginary check, and I was working with it um, by spending
Hmm.
the money on it, like
Hmm.
feeling into spending that money.
Mm.
And one of the things I spent my check on was uh, a mattress.
Uh-huh.
And
Nice.
literally the next day, somebody messaged me and said, "Do you want a free mattress?" I was like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa!" And
Yeah.
it was like for me, I actually didn't want the mattress that was offered, and we now have a new mattress, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But what I got from that was it was like the universe going, "It can be quick.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
can be really quick.
Yeah.
Like if you're
Yeah.
open, it can be really quick." Um, and it was almost like it was just reminding me that
Mm.
things can happen fast. They don't have to take a long time. Yeah.
Exactly.
So
And I
oh,
see
it's
a lot
so funny.
I see a lot of stories like that in my world. I remember one of my clients telling me that she'd seen this lovely designer jacket in a charity shop, but it was the wrong size for her.
Hmm.
And then 2 days later, her friend delivered the exact same jacket in her size for her. And
Wow.
she was like, that was insane because I really wanted that jacket, but there was no way it was going to fit. And then all of a sudden, my
Yeah.
friend was like, I thought you'd like this.
Wow. So it is that thing of when we start to, because most of us have a habit of worrying and
Mm,
focusing
mm,
on the bills that aren't paid and the
Mm,
lack, and trying to work out how are we going to get there? How are we going to uh, get get the money as well, get the
yeah,
money in, and it's all a bit from this place of fear and lack. Um, and from that place, we feel like, well, I have to get that stuff in to be able to enjoy life, or be able to even think about the things that I
mm,
like or I want or I desire. But actually, it's the other way around. Like when we engage in dreaming about, thinking
dreaming.
about,
Yeah,
giving attention to. Because I know
yeah,
one of the principles you talk about is giving money attention, or giving
yeah,
our desires attention. Like when we
yeah.
focus on those and we lean into those and we feel into those,
Mm.
then the stuff starts showing up in
It really
unexpected
does.
ways.
Yeah, it really does. And we're taught that we shouldn't believe things until we see it, but actually we only see things when we start believing
Yeah,
them.
it's the other way round, isn't it?
Yeah, we are creators, you
Yeah.
know,
Believing
and
is seeing rather than seeing is believing.
yeah,
Believing is
exactly.
seeing.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
literally like imagine what you want into being. And we've probably all got a story of something that we've thought about winning or achieving or getting
Hmm.
that we thought, oh, probably not going to happen. But because we thought about it without the worry, it happened.
Mm. And also with that as well, there's the attachment to the outcome, isn't
Yes.
there? So when
Well,
we
the
can release
attachment,
that attachment to the
yeah,
outcome
yeah.
and be playful
Attach,
and
yeah,
curious.
attachment is scarcity. Attachment is
Yes.
fear because it's like, I have to have it.
Yes.
And I always like to think about money as a relationship, a loving relationship.
Hmm.
And none of us are particularly comfortable when someone's overly attached or when they're overly aloof, right? So we
Hmm.
have to give that relationship a healthy amount of space. So we
Mm.
don't want to be clingy and we don't want to be distant. So
Hmm.
it's about finding that space where you feel safe, saying what you want and what you desire, and
Hmm.
just knowing that it's going to come without needing it, clinging onto it with your fingernails kind of thing.
Yeah. So yeah. So yeah. Yeah, being able to be playful and curious and
Yeah,
creative,
yeah,
and I one of the words that keeps coming up as well is trust,
yeah,
trusting that all will be well, trusting
yeah.
that, you will be taken care of.
Mm,
Like, and because if I think about it, actually, with clients, I often help them to reframe limiting beliefs. That's one of the
mm,
things I do. I'm sure you do as well,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Any decent coach will do that. Will
Mm,
help you reframe these thoughts, these limiting beliefs or ideas that you have that you're coming from. And when I think about the truth, actually, is I've I've never really been starving, I've always had somewhere to live. I've always had, a home and, family around me, and there might be people listening to this who that is tricky for them at the
hmm
moment.
hmm
Um, and most people, I think, who are listening to this, if you think about it, of the things that you're grateful for, if you think about it, you're alive and things have worked out okay. You're here.
mm,
You've made it this far.
mm,
And that, that I am supported. I am looked after. There are places I can turn to. And
mm.
I don't, I don't think I would ever be truly destitute in that
No.
there are friends, there are people, there are people that I know in my life that if I had nothing, I'm sure if I said I need somewhere to stay for a few days or something, I'm sure there's
Mm,
plenty of people would say, yes, of course,
yeah.
and would welcome
And
me in. And I think everybody listening to this, if you really, really, really think about it, I bet you have that too, you
yeah,
know?
and I actually wrote down 9 out of 10 because 9 times out of 10, probably more, money has been there for most of us, most of
Yeah.
us. And actually, do you know what? probably in your life there are people that you trust more than money who have let you down way more than 9 times out of 10. Like, not like
Oh, yeah.
I'm getting my numbers mixed up, but
Yeah.
let you down way more than money ever has.
Yeah.
But you trust them more than you trust money, or
Mhm.
probably more, you trust more than you trust yourself with money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because so this is the thing um, that I had from one of my other meditations, which is, oh, I'm money and money is
Mm, mm,
me.
mm. Yeah.
It's like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
so if money is energy and
Yeah.
I am energy, I am money and money is me.
Yeah.
I am
But there,
divine and divine power is me. Yeah.
yeah. But there was a time when all the money in the world was linked to gold reserves, but that hasn't been true for a very long time. So it really is much more energetic now than it ever was. It's
Mm.
created, more and more gets created all the time, more and more money
Mhm.
gets created all the time. And
Mhm.
so it's just this, it's like this ever expanding energy that we can tap into. And,
Yeah.
we're as worthy as anyone else of having it,
Mm.
you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing.
Mm.
Amazing. So, yeah, it's so great chatting with you about this, um and hopefully people listening will have an experience of um maybe starting to see money in a different way just from this
Mm.
conversation.
Mm.
um and thinking, I think one of the things that I would love to encourage people to do is to, if you think of it as a relationship and if you think of it as an energy, rather than trying to get it, how can you ask it to be with you and support you, and how can you collaborate with it? That
Mm.
is that is what I'm focusing on, collaborating with it.
Mm.
And um and how I serve people as well, and yeah, and how I can collaborate with it to create fab things for myself and my family,
Yeah.
um, and have it work through me, you know?
Yeah. And I think one important
Yeah.
thing to note is money doesn't hold grudges. So if you're
Mm.
like me and you've made some catastrophic money mistakes, some bad judgments, some bad decisions, money doesn't hold grudge. Like,
Mm.
she just wants to be, I call her she because I find that easier. I find it easier to work with her if she's a person. She just wants to be in your life. And she'll
Yeah.
be in your life as much as you allow her. But if you're
Mm.
beating yourself up for past mistakes, like having a house repossessed, getting ripped off or bankrupt or anything like that, like
Mm.
she's not going to be able to come to you. So
Mhm.
just know money doesn't hold grudges. You don't need to be
Mm.
forgiven. You don't need to earn forgiveness or anything like that. She just wants to be in your life.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm.
And it's interesting. That's one of the things that came up for me. I've got on my little altar over here. I've got a little money section on my altar over here. This was the goddess that came up for me,
Oh,
which is
Kuan
Kuan
Yin,
Yin.
very feminine.
Compassion, very feminine, but also um, was very much linked to forgiveness.
Yeah, yeah.
So money, like you say, money doesn't isn't asking for anything from us actually,
No,
and we need to forgive ourselves for those things.
absolutely.
You
Yes,
know,
absolutely.
this self compassion and forgiving ourselves for any mistakes we feel we've made, or, you know, because it's easy to get into the position of feeling like you're not a good custodian of money, you
Mm,
know,
mm,
whereas money doesn't believe that.
mm,
Um, and so this forgiveness for ourselves. So anybody listening to this, who has, you know, worries about money coming in, or has made mistakes, like if you've made a mistake and you're beating yourself up about it, it's time to forgive yourself
mm.
and be
Yeah.
kind to yourself and
And
allow
tell
money to come back in.
Yeah, and tell yourself, a lot of people say to me, I'm really bad with money. And I ask them to tell themselves a different story. I'm
Mm,
getting better with money.
yes,
I'm getting better with money is far more positive than I'm terrible with money.
exactly.
Mm,
Yeah, because we speak that into existence, don't we? We keep affirming that into the world
mm,
when we say, I'm terrible with this or I'm terrible with that.
mm,
So I'm getting
mm,
better at. That's a beautiful
mm.
reframe.
There's no end
Um,
to it either, is there? You can
mm,
just keep getting better and better and better.
yeah, I'm getting better all the time. I'm getting
Yeah.
better with money. That's a lovely one.
Mm.
Oh, so with anybody listening to this, I'd love to hear um, in the comments below this episode. What have you got today from this conversation? What are you taking away? Love to see that in the comments. Um, and there are so many nuggets that I feel are there. Was there anything else you wanted to leave people with? Because you've said the most important thing that you
Yeah, I think I
which was
have.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just, work at it. You've been taught all your life that money is something to be feared or angry or, judged about.
Hmm.
Open, open up to there being another way
Yeah.
and, open the door and she'll start creeping in. Good on money.
Yay! Start creeping in. I love that. Thank you so much for
My
coming and having
pleasure.
this conversation today. It's just been so beautiful. And if you want to connect with Eloise, below in the show notes for this, you'll see a contact link of how you can connect with her there. Um, and find out about her lovely book as well that she has. Um, and yeah, so there'll be information there about Eloise and also about the Money Flow Activator that I've been talking about. That is also available for people to connect with if that's something you want to connect with as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yay, amazing.